Welcome to the Pro Aging Podcast and our conversation with Justin Boogaard, founder and CEO of GoGo Grandparent. GoGo helps older adults live independently in their homes for as long as possible. By working directly with on-demand services, GoGo manages the mobility, meals, groceries, and more of their clients. We had a great conversation with Justin with lots of questions from the audience, so let's get it started. Before we kind of dive into what GoGo Grandparent is, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came about starting this organization.
Thanks, Steve. And thank you for, again, the invite to be here. It's a pleasure to be able to speak to this group. GoGo started really organically. I was living with my grandmother in 2012 through 2015. My grandfather recently passed away, and so and I needed kind of a place to stay. So it worked out really well. She was going through kind of her journey through aging. She has an eye condition that was progressively getting worse, and so she was growing uncomfortable driving at night and long distances. And I didn't have a car. While I was living with her, I would just sort of use the smartphone applications for requesting a Lyft and Uber ride to get around. And she saw that and sort of organically asked one night for Uber's phone number. She's not the most technically savvy person. We had tried kind of setting up a friend of hers with Uber. They had a smartphone and it wasn't really jiving very well. And so when grandma asked for Uber's phone number, I kind of explained, oh, they don't have that. And I had been living with her working on a bunch of different projects. And so she kind of just recognizing that none of my projects are really going anywhere, sort of admonished over dinner, well, you should make that then and give up this other stuff. And I thought it was good advice. My co-founder, David Lung, and I had been working together for a year at that point, and none of our projects really were going anywhere, but we figured we had at least grandma that was demanding this from us. And so it'd be nice to have something with the user. Mm-hmm.
What were these projects that you guys were working on? Do you care to share?
Well, actually, thank you for that question. Yeah, it was just so, it was such a natural evolution. We were working really hard on making it easier for people that were looking at the gig economy to identify which offerings or opportunities could make them the most money per hour. And it was sort of like a LinkedIn, but for 1099 contractors. When we wanted to start with Lyft, Uber, Instacart, DoorDash, and then eventually kind of extend up to the higher skill sets. So it had been, I mean, it was going fine. We had like a small business, but it wasn't growing very quickly. And we weren't sure. In 2014 was like the boom for those sorts of companies. And what we were finding was outside of those companies, most people that are running independent contracting jobs have sort of their network of people that they will call, and there's not too much additional service value or added value that a digital network would bring to that. So, but we built up a lot of experience working with and understanding the inner workings of DoorDash, Uber, Lyft, Postmates, Instacart, and so it's helped us out significantly today.
Great.
Yeah.
Now, I believe you're on the West Coast. You're in California, or?
Yep.
Oh, okay. And is that where are you right where you founded GoGo Grandparent, or have you moved around?
Well, so my grandma's in Torrance, which is in the South Bay of Los Angeles. When GoGo started, we were really just being used by her. But she's a pretty popular lady in the South Bay of LA. She was part of 2 book clubs, 2 social clubs, and a bridge club. And so what we had made just for her she actually started to, I felt really confident about GoGo when one of her book club friends called the number that I had given grandma and used us. Maybe another important caveat is given our previous experiences trying ideas, we didn't really want to tell grandma that this was something that we had made for her. So we sort of just pawned it off as something I heard about, what she was looking for, a phone number to use Lyft and Uber with, because I wanted to see if she would really use it. She did, and then she gave the number to her friend, again, not knowing that it was like me and my co-founder David's business. So when that friend called, I started to feel really confident, and pretty soon over the next few months, we had thousands of people in California using us, and then hundreds of thousands of people using us a few months after that across the United States. So at that point, we were excited that we seemed like we had something, and wanted to get formalized and make it like a real business. And there was a summer camp it's not quite a summer camp. It's a program that I refer to as a summer camp for startups in Mountain View. It's called Y Combinator, and they accepted us as part of their program. And so we moved to Mountain View, and so we've been in the San Francisco area for the last year.
We've got a lot of entrepreneurs in the audience, and just, everybody's trying to figure out how to reinvent their business, whether you own it or you're an employee with COVID-19. But what you just touched on is very, very important. It's so often we come up with an idea, or it might be a new brochure, it might be something, and then you show it to your friends, your circle, and the feedback that you're going to oftentimes get in that situation is not going to be as authentic as if somebody thought it was an independent service. And you could see, especially your grandmother, where if she knew you set this up just for her, she's going to be 100% complimentary,
Right.
and not necessarily give you that authentic feedback. But this is brilliant. Well, that's great background. Let's kind of dive in. How can we use this service, and what does it do?
Yeah, let's talk about GoGo really quick, and then I would love to show a demo to the group. But in the beginning, as just described, what we were doing was solving the bridge between someone that wasn't very comfortable using a smartphone to request a ride with Uber. So it was sort of this technical barrier that we were able to help her cross. And that's still a big use case for GoGo today. We're a phone number that you can call to request a ride automatically. There's a registration process where you tell us your name and your home address. But then after you've called us, you're able to order rides without speaking to an operator. You can call our number, press 1, and a car is ordered to pick you up from your home. You can call our number, press 2, and a car is ordered to pick you up where you were dropped off last. You can add specific kind of custom locations that you want to be picked up from to that menu. So you can add, you can press 3 to get picked up at the gym, 4 to get picked up at the bank, 5 to get picked up at the grocery store. And you can always press 0 to speak to an operator if there's a destination that you want to get picked up from. I'm sorry, if there's a location that you want to get picked up from outside of that list. But we find that most of our clients, that list is more than enough, considering like the needs that they have. A lot of just sort of round trips out and leaving their home and then coming back to their home. So we've made it a very simple mechanism for requesting rides. And once you've requested the ride, you can still stay sort of, well, I'll give a demo. Any questions before I do such a thing?
I see there's a bunch of things going on, but let's keep on going with the demo. But curiosity, like, is this exclusive to Uber, or do you guys use both Uber and Lyft and other services and groups of volunteers?
Thanks for that question. So it's Uber and Lyft is widely available throughout the nation. And that's one of the things that's enabled us to have hundreds of thousands of clients from extremely rural communities is because of that widespread underlying availability. In some markets, in the last few months, GoGo has begun experimenting with employed drivers that we employ directly. We haven't worked with volunteers yet, though that's definitely an exciting thing to consider. But we have GoGo Medical here in the Bay Area of San Francisco that is allowing us to offer the highest quality of trip experience for medical appointments, where you can actually have someone walk you into an appointment and check you out from an appointment. So that's been an exciting development for us recently. But in most parts of the state, our default is either Lyft or Uber. And then as GoGo Medical continues to evolve, I can see us bringing it to other more concentrated population areas to offer that highest quality of service. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but I think that there's other values in having kind of a trained staff that we're able to take advantage of as GoGo Medical grows. But as it continues to evolve, there'll be more updates. But today it's mostly Lyft and Uber.
Great. Okay, so how about you can do this little demo, and then we'll start entertaining the questions that are in the comments that are coming in.
Okay, awesome. Anyone can access this demo at any time. We make it available on our website, GoGoGrandparent.com, mainly because family members use it a lot to kind of train almost their loved ones on how the system works. It is pretty simple, but everyone likes a dry run or the ability to have a dry run. So it's just, you go to GoGoGrandparent.com, scroll down, and there's a little section that says demo how it works, and you can put your name in and your number. So I've done that. I'm going to ask it to call me, and my phone here is now ringing. I'm going to put it on speakerphone.
For interest in GoGo Grandparent, feel free to play around. This is just a demonstration, so any ride that you order here won't actually come. Hi, thanks for calling GoGo.
So if you call GoGo, this is what you hear.
The ride is 90 cents a mile and 15 cents a minute.
That pricing changes based on where you live. It's dependent on the underlying fare conditions.
From your home. Please press 2 to order a car that will pick you up from where we dropped you off last.
I'm going to press 1 to order a ride to my home.
Hold on tight.
A fake ride, a demo ride.
Your car now. Stay on the line and we'll give you more information about your ride.
So this is, we're looking for a trip. We found one.
Your driver will arrive in 5 minutes. Your driver's name is John.
We read you your information. John
will be driving a blue Toyota Prius. The license plate ends with GOGO.
GoGo.
Again.
So you get your driver's information there in the call that you're making when you're getting picked up, and you can call your driver at any time. I'm going to hang up, and I'm going to receive another call. When John, the driver, is arriving and like at my home, you receive another phone call. And so that's what this demo is doing here.
Great.
So this is that other phone call.
Follow-up call that demonstrates what happens once your driver is just a few minutes away. We'll call you to remind you of their name, the type of car that they're driving, and give you the opportunity to press 3 to speak with your driver. Thank you so much once again for trying the GoGo Grandparent.
Because this is a demo call,
feel free to give us a call if you have
there is no driver to call, but it's just like a follow-up call that lets the person know that the driver's there and they can press 3. Go ahead.
Yeah, you don't have to be an older adult or a non-tech savvy person to really appreciate what you've done there, because especially like I mean, I remember one time I was in Chicago waiting for an Uber, and it's next to impossible to get in touch with your driver.
Right.
You know, this really simplifies the process. And on that, there's no sort of age limit. Anybody can use GoGo Grandparent, correct?
Yes. Anyone can sign up over the age of 18 to take advantage of the simplified sort of ordering process and the benefits of our phone system.
Okay.
In addition to rides, we also offer a phone system for meals and for groceries. So you can actually hot order, your favorite meals from restaurants near you, or we'll pre-populate meals that other people have ordered in your area. And you can do it by calling a phone number and pressing 4 for a chicken sandwich from the local deli. And for groceries, you can save certain items that you want refills on, or you can save even a cart and you can request those again. We're working on making it so that a simple phone call can solve most of the instrumental activities of daily living: mobility, meals, grocery and home maintenance supplies, medication management is what we're working on next. So we're trying to make that as simple as possible. There's another sort of thing that's happening behind the scenes that I think makes GoGo an incredible tool for helping people live longer in their homes. And that's what we call the GoGoGuardian program. I'd be happy to kind of walk through that in just a few minutes if there's interest there. What that does, though, is take into account the impairments, if any, that have been reported to us by a client, and make sure that we are matching that client with a driver, excuse me, I don't know if you can, let me just reject that call. It's not stopping. Okay, there we go. Sorry. But we're matching the impairments and preferences that a client has reported to us with the comfort level of drivers. These are independent contractors, and what they in the past have told us that they are comfortable accommodating. We also manage and oversee each ride. So in the beginning, we were seeing problems with requested rides that were baffling to us, not the experiences that we had experienced using Lyft and Uber ourselves. After some investigation, what we realized is that people that have mobility impairments, people that are living with visual impairments, people that are living with cognitive impairments or hand dexterity impairments have a much tougher time, not just using technology, but actually managing and getting that almost sort of assurances that this is going to succeed for them. A quick example: if you live in a community, or if you're getting picked up from a hospital, the drivers are very likely to go to the wrong entrance unless there is some sort of intervention that happens. And so GoGo, to address that specific example, has built up a database of hundreds of thousands of common pickup destinations to make sure that we understand exactly where you are when you're getting picked up, and if there's any sort of like ramps or things that the driver would need to be aware of as they are going to pick you up. So in the beginning, we had a failure rate of trip requests at around 25%. With our GoGoGuardian system, over the last few years, we've been able to push that below 1%. So the service has become not just a way to get around, but really something that a family can say, look, Dad, this is better than having a car. It's going to be cheaper. You're not going to have to pay for insurance, and you're not going to have to pay for gas, and you only take 2 trips a month anyway. You can continue to live here in your home because this is available. And they weren't really able to say that with Lyft and Uber before, despite that GoGo's just using Lyft and Uber, but that problem where drivers might be uncomfortable working with people with impairments, or the older adult has to be kind of on top of the driver at all times as they're requesting the ride, was causing too many trips to fail. And the GoGoGuardian system prevents that. And we're also extending that system to take that same approach with people that have meal preferences or dietary restrictions, and people that might forget, what their home cabinet supplies look like. So we always make sure that people have their toiletries that they need and stuff like that. So wow. I can go into that in a lot more detail, but that's sort of like the thing that's operating behind the curtain once you request a ride.
This is great. And I'm seeing a lot of comments, and folks, it doesn't look like anybody's typing their questions into the Q&A. So I'm going to work my way backwards on using chat. So we'll talk about GoGoGuard. Well, I saw a question in here about cost. Okay, so I know when I call Uber or Lyft, there's a certain cost there, but I'm assuming you're adding a premium on this for this service. How does all that work in terms of cost?
Our business model is we have a membership fee because there is a kind of a certain cost for us with the number of members that we have. We have to make sure that we have the staff available to support them if everyone were to call in, or not everyone calling up at the same time, but if the members that we call in according to the models that are based on historical data in the past, we need to make sure that we have staff there so that phones are being answered or calls are being answered in less than a minute. And so we charge $9.99 per month that someone's a member with us. And then as you're requesting the services, we have different concierge fees. And this goes to cover the cost of the GoGoGuardian system. So if you're taking much longer trips, that is tying up our team that's monitoring those rides. And so we charge 27 cents a minute while someone is taking a trip. That usually comes out to be between $3 and $4 per trip. And so our national average, including our fee and the cost of Lyft and Uber, is around $15. And then $3 to $4 of that is going to GoGo, and the rest is going to Lyft or Uber.
Great. And back in the world of taxi cabs, it was you could see where that when that meter's running, it's running at a much higher rate than what you just referenced.
Yeah. So nationally, we're about 25 to 35% cheaper than a cab based on the market that you're in. For people that are sort of, I would say, living with GoGo longer in their home, thriving at home because they can rely on us to solve some of their more basic needs, they're spending typically around $100 a month, inclusive of all fees and services, and that'll typically cover 6 to 8 rides wherever they might be going. It also that average is also including the percentage of people that are using us for meals. That's like what someone that's relying on us can expect.
Great. And then let's see, Judy Tiger asks, how would somebody tip the driver if they're getting a ride?
A great question. We ask our clients to avoid tipping in cash just because they are older, and we don't want people reaching into their purse or accidentally giving out $100 bill instead of a $1 bill, which it doesn't happen often, but it did used to happen. And so GoGo has built a method to tip once the trip completes. It just gets added on to your fare. So we call you after every trip to ask you to rate your trip. And in that call, you can choose to give a tip. You don't have to speak to anyone. You can just select from a menu if you want to give like a tip based on the trip.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's great follow up. So literally anybody who uses your service, they're getting a follow up call to make sure everything went okay, and then you can ask for the trip. Correct?
Yes, that's part of the GoGoGuardian system is because if there's a new driver that gets matched with GoGo, and I'm sorry, I'm going to close this window. I can hear someone working on their yard. Just a second. Okay. If there's a new driver in the system, which does happen often, there's new drivers all the time that are joining Lyft and Uber's network. So if there's a new driver in the system, GoGo will call that driver preemptively and ask them some questions to make sure that they're comfortable accommodating their next client's needs, if that client has needs. And if they are a good fit, then we'll let the trip happen and monitor it. And then we'll follow up with the client just to get their feedback on it. And if someone were to say something that a GoGo team member didn't like, we would sort of put that driver on our do not disturb list. About 20 to 30% of assigned drivers end up on that list.
Okay, that's great. There's a few comments about can you use a landline? I think intentionally this was designed so that somebody could use a landline.
Yes.
You could still have the Uber app on your smartphone, but just choose for the convenience, or could be a vision problem. You could be using GoGo Grandparent on your smartphone.
About 40% of people that use GoGo today are using us from a smartphone because of the assurances that it's going to succeed when they request with us.
Yeah. And then what about Alexa? Could somebody, I'm assuming you could, if you've got Alexa programmed, you could say, call GoGo Grandparent, and then you make that phone call through Alexa.
That's something that we haven't heard from the customer base yet, but we've been waiting. We're waiting to hear sort of like, I don't think we've heard one person request that, but as you know, we're excited about that. And as soon as it gets there, and we do think it will get there, we'll be ready to kind of invest resources in that.
Well, we've got our friend Hubris. I know that's not his real name, but Hubris is brought that up. So he might be a test subject for you to get that going.
Nice.
Judy Tiger asks, want to learn about the GoGoGuardian, and do some drivers manage wheelchairs? Is that a possibility?
Yes. So with Lyft and Uber, drivers are able to load foldable wheelchairs into their trunk. That's part of the GoGoGuardian system that we're checking for. They aren't able to load people though. And so there are wheelchair accessible vehicles available on the platform, depending on the market that you live in. And if that is something that's available to you, we will you can set that as your preferred ride type. And then you can request that whenever you call and request a ride with us. We know that you'll need a wheelchair accessible vehicle. And then that driver is someone that's able to load you up a ramp, secure you, and give you what that experience typically is. If you have a foldable wheelchair and there aren't wheelchair accessible vehicles near you, or you don't need them because they are typically more expensive, the drivers that we'll screen the drivers to make sure that they're comfortable folding up your wheelchair, but the passenger would have to be comfortable transferring into the vehicle. Excuse me. And that's how that works. So the drivers aren't able to lift the passenger into the vehicle or transfer them themselves.
And because you have members, somebody asked a question about payment. Because to use this, you're a member, and is there a membership commitment? So I could join for a month at $9.99 and then cancel after a month, correct? Or is it
your first month is free, and then it's month to month after that at the $9.99.
Okay,
so you can cancel at any time.
And you do that on the person's credit card, or do you do bank ACH or what have you as well?
It's mostly credit cards. We're going to be experimenting with bank payments actually coming soon. Okay. But I would say that the other option, the sort of the third option for people financing their GoGo programs, because a big percentage of our population of clients is unbanked or underbanked. And so what we recommend to them is you can purchase those prepaid gift cards and then using cash, and then we can load those up into your account. And then you can kind of have like an account balance. And as long as it doesn't dip below $50, then you're able to continue using GoGo normally. And then
great.
We ask you to top up around 50.
It's just, you don't have to worry about it. It's funded. And when your balance gets low, somebody notifies you. Have you played around with, I forgot that there's a transportation program that's based in Maine, like ACN. And one of the models that they used was they found they were giving rides to people, but their car was just sitting in the garage. And so one thing that they did was they did a donation or a sale of the car, and that used that as the funding mechanism for the ride program. I could see you guys doing something similar to that as well.
I thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, that was an experiment that we were running right before the pandemic hit, and it was trending very positively, but it kind of froze.
Yeah.
it kind of froze like our priority there, but I would love to see that kind of come back. We've successfully done this with one client who used their car, which was a fixed asset that they no longer needed, to fund GoGo. And they had funds for 3 or 4 years, 5 years,
exactly.
To do that. So I would love to see that happening more broadly.
Yeah, I could see that working well. And because you brought up COVID, Carol Ragsdale asks a question about COVID precautions. Anything that you could share? I mean, I realize that you're partnering with Uber and Lyft. I'm assuming they're under the microscope in terms of their drivers being following all guidelines.
Yeah, and I think that's almost a benefit of working with Lyft and Uber, is that because they're so big, they can't like hide anywhere. They have to be following, every regulation to a T. And with COVID, what that manifested itself as, and I don't know if this was regulation or just proactive action, but every driver has to sanitize where their passenger was sitting in between every trip. Drivers and passengers both have to be wearing masks. The drivers will drive with the windows slightly ajar for airflow. If GoGo cannot be used to request a ride for someone that's suspected of having COVID. And the same happens for drivers. So and this is the reason why passengers can't be using the service if they're expected of having COVID, because if they do, then that driver, any driver that they touch, will be deactivated from the network for a 2-week quarantine. And then when that elapses, then they can come back. But so for the benefit of all people that are using the services, we don't allow drivers or passengers that have been suspected with. And when I say drivers, I mean Lyft and Uber don't allow drivers, but GoGo is not allowing passengers that have symptoms of COVID to take trips.
Great. Okay. Let's see. Many thanks for such a great service idea. When you say your service includes monitoring the trip, we are not understanding, is your service there with the senior and supporting them to be sure they arrive safely and return home safely? Is all of this explained on your website with a list of frequently asked questions and needs?
I would definitely recommend people check out the FAQ. I can walk through the GoGoGuardian program right now, and we can kind of do that. GoGo isn't in the car with that person, but we are monitoring it very closely, and I'll show you what I mean in just a second. So can I?
You should be able to share your screen. Yeah. And then Monica asks, rides have to be initiated with GoGo, and then you guys choose Uber or Lyft.
The client is welcome to give us their preference, and then we can make that the preference going forward.
So they could also say, I don't care, I just want the first available driver, or I really like the Lyft drivers better than the Uber drivers. Somebody could make that request.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, that's no problem. They could also say, I only want big cars, or I only want small cars, or I want luxury vehicles. We can accommodate those requests as well, or wheelchair accessible vehicles.
Okay.
All right. So GoGoGuardian program. We've already talked a little bit about our history, but this really kind of began again where there were problems that were happening with trips, and we did not know what was going on. In the beginning, David and I were the first operators. And so we didn't really, it made us take the issue very seriously because it was impacting our ability to sleep. There was a 3-week period where we just we were woken up every night by people calling us because there was a problem happening. And it prompted us to think about what those sort of common scenarios are or problems are that our clients specifically are running into and address those. And so the flow of a trip is, and we're going to go through an example in just a second, but the flow of the trip is the ride requested, and there's a few things that we do when the ride is requested. And then there's a few things that we do once a driver is assigned. So those are two kind of distinct steps. And then when the trip is being picked up, or when the driver is on the way to make that trip pickup, there's other stuff that we're doing. And then we are monitoring through trip completion. That's sort of that final step. And I'm going to walk through an example with Luis. this is a real client, but not the real name. But Louise calls in to get picked up from her hair salon. This is a real scenario. She's hard of hearing, uses a walker, and can't get into big cars. She has told us that when she registered with us, that these were sort of the conditions that she was living with. She doesn't actually carry a cell phone, and about 10% of our clients don't, and they're solely dependent on their landline. So I thought that was interesting and included that here. She successfully got picked up from her home. This demonstration is about her return trip from the hair salon, and she's calling us from their office line. So the ride is being requested. We know that, and this is some of the work that we do sort of before, like when the trip is requested. We know based on our trip history and experience with Louise that her hair salon, NV Hair Studio, is in this strip mall, and it's kind of located on the lower right-hand side of the mall. But the address of NV Hair Studio leads people to the sort of the top of the strip mall, and you can kind of see where it says driver goes here. And that's just because of the way that this area is categorized and geofenced. And so the GPS, any GPS, would take the driver to this incorrect area, which is pretty far for Louise, who has a walker, and not something that she wants to be on top of every single time that she requests a ride from NV. And so we are on the phone with her while she's requesting the trip. We're able to detect that this is an area that might be a problem and reroute exactly where that driver is going to go. We have an integration with Lyft and Uber that allows us to set the pin wherever we want it to be set, not where the address is. So we can kind of drag it around and move it where we want it to go. And then that will influence what shows up in the driver's app. This is actually kind of cool. It's something that Uber made for us, but we can put messages directly into the driver's app as trips are being requested. So we do that. We provide notes with what Louise is wearing and the name of NV, and we put that message into the driver's app. And that's going to go into the trip request. So she's requesting the trip. We're preparing all of this, and now we're about to move to, okay, which driver is going to get this trip? The first two drivers are fine, but there's some problems. The first one, Mark, he's driving a Hyundai Tucson, and that's a car that Louise can't get into. You saw that she walks with or she uses the walker. She doesn't have a ton of mobility, and hoisting herself into the larger vehicle would be a problem for her. So we cancel and re-request. The next driver, Carol, she drives a Nissan Sentra. That's fine. That's a car that Louise is able to get into. But we had actually been assigned Carol previously. She worked with a different client, and she had told our team that she has a bad back and wasn't comfortable picking up any additional luggage. And so we know Louise has a walker. We don't want to have that come up with Carol. So we'll automatically cancel and re-request. So both Mark and Carol were assigned. And then due to either conditions that we know about the driver or conditions that we know about Louise, we decided it wasn't going to be a good fit. The third driver then that's assigned is Mohammed. And he's new. This is the first time that we worked with him. And so our system calls him and connects him to our team member, Ivan. Ivan asks a few questions to Mohammed designed to figure out if he's easy to communicate with and determine if he's comfortable with that walker. Mohammed is, and so Ivan lets the trip go through. Ivan also will annotate now Mohammed's profile with us. So anytime we're assigned Mohammed, we'll know that he's comfortable, that he's easy to communicate with and comfortable accommodating walkers. Just as an aside, if there was a client that had a wheelchair, the system wouldn't automatically say that Mohammed's a good fit because a wheelchair is a little bit different than a walker. And so that would once again go through a team member who would call Mohammed. Once Mohammed has signed off on a wheelchair, then any sort of ambulatory equipment, the system would just automatically let him go through. So that was on the little side.
Wow.
So this is all happening behind the scenes. And what Louise has experienced, she knows none of this is going on. It took her 30 to 60 seconds. She was still on the phone at the hair salon. We screened the 2 drivers automatically and contacted the 3rd. And when Ivan let Mohammed go through, Luis hears Mohammed's name, the color of his vehicle, the make and model of his vehicle, the last 3 digits of his license plate, and how many minutes it will be until he's able to get to her and pick her up. So now she hangs up. And we move into the sort of the 3rd phase of ride monitoring, which is the trip pickup. Normally this goes smoothly, but sometimes it doesn't. In this case, there's trouble. There's construction on the road, and it's slowing Mohammed down by a lot. And we have different sort of flags or thresholds based on the area that a trip is happening in. In Luis's area, it slows him down by more than 7 minutes. And so we ask a guardian, which is the internal name that we refer to this team, to give Mohammed a call and figure out what's going on. We don't know why he's slowed down, but we know that he has slowed down. And we have to figure out if we need to cancel and re-request or what's going on. So it could be Ivan, it could be a colleague, calls Mohammed again. And then Mohammed reports that he's just in traffic, but that he's running behind, but he should be there. So we call Luis because delays are a source of anxiety for our clients. We call Luis and ask, well, we actually don't call Luis, we call the salon, ask for Luis and let her know about the delay. And so she knows, okay, Mohammed's on his way. We just give her the updated ETA. Because we handled this trip pickup pin issue that I pointed out earlier, just a reminder, the original address takes Mohammed to the wrong pickup area, not in front of Luis's salon. Because we handled that, Mohammed is able to get there and find Luis and pick her up, and the rest of the trip is a success. Sometimes the rest of the trip isn't a success. Sometimes there's other conditions where the driver is going the wrong way, the driver slows down. We're monitoring the trip through our system based on the driver's smartphone. So we know exactly where they are. Once Luis is in the trip, she also has the ability to call us and without saying anything, kind of press a button that signals that there's an emergency going on. And then we can call her, and we have a scenario for trying to figure out what's going on.
Wow.
In this case, the trip goes really well. We call her after the trip to rate it. She gives it a 5 out of 5. And then she presses 0 to schedule her next trip. And so that's an example. That's like what the Guardian program can do behind the scenes. From Luis's perspective, she called from the salon and got picked up and went home. But all of this was happening without her necessarily knowing about it or needing to know about it. But this is why our trip fulfillment rates are over 99% versus 75%.
And I'm curious at this question that Judy Tiger is asking is how many people are behind the scenes? I'm assuming it's not just you and your partner anymore.
No. So a lot of what I just walked through was automatic. But GoGo has, we have a huge team now of members that are. So the way that we break it up is that we have our GoGoGuardian team, which is working together with the technology to identify problems and then solve those problems. That's sort of a sub team, though, within all of GoGo. We also have people that are responsible for registering clients and making sure that we're capturing all the information that we need to do to make their experience with GoGo successful. And then we have team members that are responsible for handling disputes. So let's say that it wasn't a 5 out of 5. Let's say that Mohammed took the wrong trip, took a wrong route. We might have detected that, but if it was just a small deviation in what the expected route was, we might not have intervened. But if a client calls and wants to dispute that, we have a team that's handling that. We also have a team that's handling modifying people's accounts once they've become registered members with us and ordering rides to places that aren't their home or their last destination. So there's 100+ people here at GoGo now.
Wow, this is great. Now, a few really good questions. A bunch of people are saying, is this in Baltimore? Is this in Prince George's County? It's nationwide with the Uber and Lyft footprint, correct?
That's right. And we do have on our website and I'll share my screen again. We do have GoGoGrandparent.com. You can type in a specific address, and we will tell you not just if we're available in that area, but what the fees are and what the closest driver's ETA would be. So this is, I don't know if people can see my screen.
Yeah, we can see it.
Which one is it? Is it the address or is it the
service availability checker?
Okay, nice. So I can do 8705 Vermont Street.
And while you're doing that, Monique has a question. Can you do multiple trips at one time? So can you call up and schedule several trips at one time?
Yes. You can schedule trips up to 6 months in advance. What that does is what you're really doing is you're scheduling their request. So because the drivers are contractors, we're not putting it on their calendar at that time, but it's on GoGo's calendar. And so then we have a whole separate system for this where we'll begin requesting trips about 10 minutes before so that we can have the driver there to your door. But that 10 minutes before also varies based on the location. And if there's a problem, we'll call you. And we always have a backup in case Lyft or Uber are unavailable.
And then several questions about the security of the client, and I sort of feel like you've the amount of follow up and sort of following along is impressive, but can you speak to sort of steps that you take to make sure that the client is safe and secure?
Yeah. So again, when a client is in that trip with us.
I'm sorry. The client information. So the client is sharing data with you.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you for that. So like our servers are completely encrypted and hosted in a HIPAA compliant remote location. We use Amazon's sort of HIPAA compliance server farm. And so that's sort of the gold standard for data security. There's policies in place so that we have kind of on our side, because all of our team members are able to access data that's relevant to their job, but they're not able to access data that isn't relevant to their job. And so a Guardian program team member is only able to see trips that have been assigned to them. A registration team member is only able to modify an account that they're currently registering. All credit card and payment information is encrypted for everybody, including myself. We can only see the last 4 digits of the card. Family members are a real part of the GoGo experience, but that permission is given by the account holder. This is also worth mentioning. We do have a bunch of features for family members. So family members can receive messages about where their loved one is getting picked up or being taken to. They can call drivers. They can schedule rides on behalf of the account holder. So, which means that they can incur costs on behalf of the account holder. That authorization process, though, comes from the account holder. So a family member can't say, like, add me to the account. It has to be verified. And then so we are actually sending out address information to a family member via SMS, but only if they are authorized. And so I think that there's a lot of stuff that we're doing now. GoGo's never had an incident where someone's personal information was exposed or taken advantage of, and we want to keep it that way. There are new sort of standards that are coming on to the game, coming onto the field now, as what the world has sort of said is like, this is what the new gold standard looks like, and we are adapting those as we continue to evolve. So,
wow,
that would be my.
This is great. I can't believe we burned through an hour really quickly. Lots of great questions, but just the GoGoGuardian. So is there a pricing difference between GoGoGuardian and just the traditional signing up $9.99 a month?
No, the GoGoGuardian is included on all trips. That's as part of that 27-cent concierge fee. We didn't have a way of separating it for some people and having it for others because if you don't have it, the trip might fail and it's going to be a bad experience. So we have it for everyone.
Yeah, it just, I mean, it's an amazing level of service. I'm blown away at this as a resource that people can get, no matter, like, from a geographic perspective, no matter if Uber and Lyft are in your communities, then you can more than likely access this. But what I love how you've sort of made a technology platform like Uber and Lyft available to everyone. And but I love the follow-up. I mean, it's sort of like, it's one of these things where it's almost like, yeah, I'd like somebody calling me after my Uber or Lyft ride and asking me how it went. It's just a great way, a great add-on. Out of curiosity, from a business perspective, it sounds like you've got a pretty good partnership with Uber and Lyft. But is there ever sort of a situation that you're looking at down the road where it's sort of like, hey, what happens if these guys decide to just do this on their own?
Well, I think that's a good question. And thank you for your compliments there. As far as like the GoGoGuardian program, it is a very deep attempt at securing David and I more sleep, and I think sleep for everyone that uses GoGo. To me, the GoGoGuardian program is what makes GoGo GoGo. And this is going to answer your second question. The phone system and the phone calling is cool, and immediately addresses a niche market of people that have trouble with smartphones. And I feel good about what we've been able to do there. Using a smartphone, you can do all of the things that the GoGoGuardian program does. You could even do it without a smartphone by calling the driver yourself if you feel this anxiety, or screening drivers. Maybe the one thing that you wouldn't be able to do is have a database of 100,000 drivers and know, which ones are comfortable with walkers or wheelchairs. But in your local area, at least, you could start doing that. But doing it every single time, consistently at a level where there are no mistakes that leave you stranded at the hair salon, or relying on strangers to come take you back home, is really difficult. And it's taken us years to work on this system. So my response, or the way that I think about Lyft and Uber, is they could make the phone system. I think that would be possible and maybe even coming. But the follow through is what GoGo has learned is actually the harder thing to do. And to make a system that people are able to rely on to have the assurance that they can live in their home longer because of it, and that it'll be there for them and they'll always get where they're going. That is, I think, what is going to be GoGo's sort of competitive edge. And then, I don't think that Uber or Lyft is going to get into, grocery or medication management, meal management. We do use Uber Eats, and so that's possible. But I think that their business model wouldn't allow them to call the restaurant to make sure that they're not going to include salt. They sort of have the note, and that makes sense. But for clients that can't have salt, you need that assurance. Otherwise, it could lead to a horrible outcome. And so that's what GoGo provides. Our GoGoGuardian program for our meal management portion of our business is we call the restaurants. We are confirming that the meal has been received and that it's being prepared in accordance with the instructions that have been given to it.
This is really, it's really cool. And you can see where you're building trust with your members, where it's just convenient and they know you're going to take care of them and follow up with them. Cheryl Bartholomew from Bozeman, Montana says, let's see. We are focusing on improving transportation for older adults. Would you consider partnering with a nonprofit organization which currently offers door-to-door services but is completely inadequate? So, what I can see is where for transportation programs that are out there, GoGo could serve as sort of a supplement when volunteer drivers are unavailable. It's sort of like, hey, we don't have a volunteer, but we're going to use our GoGo account. And that sort of ties into another question that came about, which is related to the villages, which I know you talked to. Could there be sort of like this corporate account, like a village subscribes to GoGo for all of their members? Is that a possibility?
Definitely. GoGo has a little bit more than 150 partnered organizations that use GoGo to subsidize the services that we offer for their members, most of the time as a supplement to an existing program that they're offering. And I can share my screen and kind of show what that looks like. It's you determine what a subsidy is. You determine what your subsidy is going to be, and then you are given a dashboard that will enforce that subsidy. So you can look up members, you can see their ride history, you can order rides, you can schedule rides, you can check service for people in different areas. You can even modify people's payment methods if you need to. The important part is that we offer a very robust way of subsidizing rides. So if you wanted to subsidize based on what you want or what your budgetary needs are, if you wanted to subsidize 50% of the cost of the first 10 rides a month, as long as those rides were taken Monday through Friday between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m., going to or from 2 or 3 hospitals in your region, we have a system that can do that, and it'll handle it automatically. So the clients are able to request a ride. They say that they're going to the hospital, and the system will recognize that this falls in line with the rules that you set up, and it'll just charge them 50% of that cost, and then the partner account the other 50%. But a percentage is also something that's customizable. You can reimburse a fixed amount. Probably the most complicated I've seen is someone wants to reimburse. They want the client to pay for the first $1. They want to cover the next $20, and then they want the client to pay for anything over that amount, only for trips that are happening after 4 p.m., Saturday and Sunday, to and from a local medical center. And so they can create that rule and then monitor the usage of the service through the dashboard that we make available to them. And we have extra features, the notifications that I mentioned. If a partner is subsidizing our terms of service with the passenger, is that we can give that data to the partner only for the trips that they are subsidizing. And that means that you can get up-to-date notifications if you want them. You're automatically going to get email confirmations if you want them anyway. And you have access to the reports. And you also get a dedicated support team. We already offer out of the box a supervisor support team to support clients that are having disputes with trips. So that's already there for everybody. But if there's a problem with a way that a subsidy has been applied, or if you want to change your subsidy, we offer same-day reply or same-day support through our customer success team. And if anyone's interested in that, you can email enterprise@GoGoGrandparent.com.
Okay. I will make sure. Actually, Justin, when we get off this call, do you mind sending me your slide deck? Would that be
yeah, no problem.
Possible? I think that way folks can share this. That enterprise program is fantastic, especially for like small assisted livings or home care providers where you might not have a van or something like that. And especially in COVID-19, now you can't cram everybody into a van, but you could see where you could have an account and the residents of your community could take rides, and it either goes on their bill or maybe it's complimentary and the community pays for it.
I'm sending it your way now.
Okay, awesome. Well, this is fantastic. I appreciate you hanging on after the hour. I knew this was going to be an interactive discussion. I apologize to any of the questions that we may have not addressed, but I feel like we gave a very thorough overview here of an amazing program. And Justin, I'll keep tabs on you. And it sounds like you guys are dreaming up new ideas every day. So maybe we can get an update from you in 6 to 8 months and kind of hear how things are going. And maybe even we'll have some of our attendees on that I'm sure are subscribing to your service as we speak. So
awesome.
So thank you. And for everybody, we'll share the recording. I'll share the PowerPoint and the contact information so you can get in touch with the programs. And hats off to you. What a wonderful service you're providing.
Thank you so much for creating the space to share it, and to everyone for participating. Looking forward to any follow-ups, and definitely, excited to see what a post-pandemic world brings.
Great. Okay. Talk to you soon. Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.